They're ruthless.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys want to talk for a bit, and I'll just have a list.
So what sort of background do you have on this? Like, what have you been told?
So I spoke to Fiona, and she. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'm only conscious of it because I'm aware that we're listening to that bark.
Yeah. Can you hear it, Jake?
A little, well, quite a bit, yeah. Yeah.
Do you
Do you think we should?
That was weird.
Right, you can begin
Sure.
whenever you're ready.
So yeah, thanks, Emma. Yeah. So Fiona.
Do I look at the camera or?
Yeah, actually, yeah. Sorry.
Sorry, I get a habit of looking at who I'm talking to.
I'll move as far around here as possible.
So when I'm talking, am I looking at the camera or?
You are, but I mean, I guess maybe I can drop this a little bit.
So I think what you need to imagine is that you're talking to, you're giving advice to a person, you're giving advice to yourself back before.
Yeah, that's what Fiona said.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before you have, you're going to tell us your story anyway.
Yep.
So you can either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Maybe sort of give me where to look.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe?
really, I guess just kind of at the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm sort of like this, then looking at me as kind of close as I suppose it'll come off. It'll look like looking at the camera. Yeah. So I mean, it'll kind of be like a flowing conversation, I guess. But like James said, it's kind of we will at the end ask you to just kind of recount your story so that we kind of understand the context of that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the mission of what we're trying to do here is we're trying to collect, I guess, a sort of a collection of coping strategies for people who have, just had an injury. Or kind of, soon after the kind of injury and they're going through the recovery process. Because, as you know, it's a traumatic time.
Yeah.
There's an emotional roller coaster that kind of comes with it. And I'm sure that, like James said, if you knew a lot of things then that you know now, you would have been a lot better off. Plus, a thing that we've learned is that people really want to hear about kind of, or hear these kind of tips from other people like them. So, and it even just does help to know that, other people like them, just normal everyday people have been through these kind of struggles and they've come out, at the other end and what they experienced and kind of what they learned, in terms of coping strategies. So I guess as much as possible, if we can focus on the specific tactics, like I read through your response to the survey.
Oh, was that online? Oh, that was, I wasn't sure whether that was just a brief practice thing or whether that was actually going to be read. Because what I said to Fiona was more like along the lines of what I actually spoke about to Fiona was more, because those practice questions didn't actually elicit my real, like, they weren't worded to elicit my real coping strategies, if that makes sense.
Okay, sure.
They were like, the way they were worded, I found didn't, like, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure.
So,
well, I guess then, I mean, I liked your answers anyway, but so I guess, so I think kind of, you understand the spirit of what we're trying to do from what I can see.
For sure,
So, I guess it's just a case of like any of those coping strategies that you can recall. And I guess like it's been sort of a few days or even a week since you did this or more.
Yeah.
So you might have even just kind of like recounted a few of those things in your own brain.
Yeah.
And I guess being a nurse, you're probably quite cognizant of the idea of a coping strategy in that context anyway, right?
Yeah.
So we have high hopes for for what you're about to tell us. But, at the end of the day, there's no pressure here. We just kind of, but I think, and I think also being a nurse, you know this already, but this kind of this kind of support for people like can have a profound impact on their
definitely.
experiences,
like I wish I had it when I was starting. So yeah.
Yeah, good one.
Definitely.
Good. So yeah, I guess in the spirit of that, let's get a mic.
Okay.
Okay, so let me think. Okay, so if you sort of think about if you think about, you know, in this journey, there's kind of, you know, there's positive and kind of like negative, you know, sort of aspects of the emotional roller coaster of the recovery journey. What sort of things did you learn, or what things did you like do that actually helped you kind of, I guess, make sense of the situation that you're in? Perhaps let's start there. Okay, so maybe that's probably not the best way to phrase the question, but did you? I mean, I guess let's just start then in a kind of a broad sense. What do you think were the factors that helped you cope the best when you were going through this?
Well, my journey was quite long. So early on, I cried a lot. So just releasing, I had to let it out. You can't hold on to it. I talked about it a lot. Being heard, I had to be heard. Being heard was a big thing. Making sure that my voice wasn't falling on deaf ears. Being understood, making, you know, being known, knowing that I was being understood was a very big thing for me. Reaching out to people that understood me, or, you know, clinicians. That's probably.
So like you said that you sort of strove to kind of be understood.
Yeah.
What is it that you wanted people to understand?
I wanted to understand that my pain was real.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing, because when your injury isn't a physical thing, for me, I didn't have a cast around my wrist, I didn't have a bandage around my head. I wanted people to understand that my pain was real, and that is, for me, was something that really helped me cope. When I had people understand and say, yes, I understand, to be heard, that was a big thing for me. That really started to reduce my anxiety in itself. To have people listen was a big thing for me early on, when my pain and my issue was validated by other people early on. Later on, my coping strategies changed as well. They ranged from a lot of things, influenced by a holiday to Bali. That I went to on a holiday to Bali. It was a solo holiday, and that made me realise that stress in my life played a big part in my pain. A psychologist that I was seeing at the pain management centre was trying to teach me that stress actually increased my pain, and I never believed it. Never ever believed. I thought, oh, that's silly. But until I went on this holiday, I realised that stress actually played a huge part, because my partner at the time asked me when I was over there, he said, how's your pain? And I said, what pain? And I thought, wow, I'm actually so relaxed that my pain has completely left me alone for once in my life. So I brought that back home, and I thought, now a coping strategy I need to implement back home, because we can't go on a holiday every day. a coping strategy I need to use every day is to de-stress every day, and whether it's going for a walk, whether it's having a bath, whether it's reading a magazine, whether it's, you know, sitting outside on the balcony. I thought that is something that I need to do to reduce my levels of stress, because reducing stress is something that was to help me cope with my pain. That was a huge thing that I realised later on, and I wish I had realised that earlier on. And yeah, that was a big thing for me.
How's the dog barking?
It's coming through a bit, but I think we're just gonna have to we'll just plow on through it.
Do you want to bring him in and just?
Can he sort of sit, do you think? Or?
He'll probably just want to pat.
Yeah, I can just stroke him here.
Yeah. Okay.
The side door. Just go through the kitchen. If you turn around.
So, would you be able to truncate that? As advice, as some tips and advice? Truncate that. What you discovered, stress was.
Oh, here he is. He might just
wants to go to his bed upstairs.
He thinks I'm up there.
Yeah. What I was just about to say, Damien, so maybe we can get that truncated now.
Oh God, here he comes.
I learned very early on that stress was no good for me.
He's looking. Oh, don't call him. He's looking for me. He's looking for his bone. Okay. I'm nervous that he's going to run here.
Well, it'll be part of the charm. Trust me.
Yeah.
And
okay. I just don't want him to.
Taking...
I just don't want him to trip your equipment or anything.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll live with it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're only taking like 40 seconds here, 40 seconds there, and editing together. So I won't worry too much.
Sure. Okay.
So yeah, the bit about stress. I mean because it's a really good point. Right?
He's so confused. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So just to recap, you basically said that you kind of realised when you went on holiday that. So did you see the psychologist before the trip or after?
Both. I was seeing the psychologist continually, ongoing.
But then the insight around stress, did the insight happen when you were on holiday? Is that?
Yeah, it was sort of after.
Okay.
Like it was a realisation after. Sit.
What's his name?
Hugo.
Hugo. Come here. Come on. Sit down. Sit, boy. Sit. Okay. Okay. So yeah, the Hugo.
Do you want the box of treats?
Have you got it? Okay. Hugo, come on. Be quiet. We'll give you a treat. Sit. Hugo, come here.
I was just blown away by how relaxed I was and how stress-free I was, how pain-free I was. And then I brought that back home and talked to the psychologist about it. And it was a psychologist who was like, "Do you realise this?" And I was like, "Yes, I realise." But she's like, "But do you realise?" I was like, "Wow, it's amazing."
So can you please just sort of reiterate this, but use the word stress. So I guess kind of describe how, that you realised, after you going on this holiday that stress was a factor, and that if you did have these kind of daily ways of reducing stress, then that would help, reduce your pain.
Okay.
Okay.
So how do I start it? How do you want me to start it?
Just say early on you kind of discovered that stress was an important factor.
Hold on.
Oh, sort of late though. It was sort of later on, and I wish I had have learnt early on. That's kind of the way for me. If I was to look back.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe start off with.
If you want this,
maybe you can.
I'll take it.
So maybe say it wasn't until later on that I realised, but I wish I'd known all along that stress was such an important part of you know, my experience of pain. You know, maybe just sort of go from there, and then just talk about how that, you know, once that you understood that, as you know, then you were able to have these kind of coping strategies where you would actually, you know, like you said, you'd sit on the balcony, or you'd do, you know, you'd read a magazine or have a bath. So yeah, perhaps say it wasn't until later on that I discovered that stress was a big factor, but I wish I'd known it early on. Yeah. So maybe start from there.
Sure. So it wasn't until later on in my journey with my pain that I discovered that pain was, cut. So it wasn't until quite later on in my journey with my pain that I discovered that stress was quite a prominent factor in my pain, increasing my pain, and I wish I had have known this.
Sorry.
Okay, so just to remind you,
how I started.
You're talking about stress, you know, so you found out later on. Yes, I mean, I guess, you know, like, you could almost say, like, you know, it wasn't until later on that I found out that stress was such an important factor. But just kind of go naturally with it, like, you know, just in the way that you think about it, you know, so. Because I mean, you know it better than I do, so yeah.
I just needed a bit of a cue card.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So it wasn't until a bit later on in my journey with my pain that I actually discovered that stress was quite a factor that aggravated my pain, and I wish I'd learnt this earlier. I actually found this out surprisingly on a holiday that I went on to Bali. Went on a lovely solo holiday to Bali, and so relaxed, and my partner at the time asked me, how's your hip, how's the pain, how's your hip? And I'd said, what pain? And I got, you know, and that's fine. And anyway, got back and realised that stress actually was such a prominent factor in increasing my pain. And you know, I would now wish I had that knowledge, and I would recommend if anyone with pain, if you can do anything to relax, because I know from personal experience that stress directly increases your pain, and whether it's taking a bath, unwinding, sitting on your balcony, watching the sunset, simply watching your favourite TV show, going to the movies, reading a magazine, I found that de-stressing really helped decrease my pain, and I wish I had have known that earlier on, because that's a strategy that certainly worked for me, albeit later in my journey, but it's definitely a top strategy. So stress relief in any form is something that you can definitely use.
And so what, can you sort of dig into like I guess, how, you know, what techniques you'd actually use to de-stress? I mean, what sort of, I guess, how did you notice when you were stressed, and then, what techniques did you use?
So I actually didn't realise that I was stressed before I left, and it wasn't until I went away and realised on my holiday that I was so, ultra relaxed. I found having a bath every night and properly unwinding at the end of each day was my way to relax. having a bath. It was my little life luxury, having a bath. So taking time out for yourself as well, looking after yourself. I found not worrying about the trivial things as well. If there's something trivial, forget about it. There's going to be trivial things that happen. Let them pass. It's not worth getting stressed over. So just letting little things go, I found very, very useful. Probably simple things, but simple things can become very, very big and useful when you are in this sort of a situation. So that's.
And Emma, so what did you notice about your experience of pain when you were able to de-stress and do this actively?
So I found that I was able to grasp my management of pain much better. I had better control over my pain. I was able to tell my pain what to do, and rather than my pain telling me what to do, if that makes sense. And I think if you've had chronic pain and if you have pain, you will understand what I'm saying when I say the pain is telling you what to do rather than you telling the pain what to do.
Can you just reiterate that? So just say, when I managed, when I understood, or maybe when I engaged in better stress management, then it gave me the ability to kind of get on top of the pain and kind of control my pain rather than it controlling me, perhaps. So just use the word stress and how when you got over it. Because what you said was great, but let's just give it the context of the stress management. So
sure.
Once you figured out these stress management techniques,
mm-hmm.
it allowed you to better manage your pain. But something to that effect.
Oh, sure. So once I had a good grasp of these stress management techniques, which I'll admit took me some time. And I wish I had someone to guide me through this, but I got there. I was able to better manage my pain, and can tell my pain what to do, and I was able to better understand my pain. So, manage. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, so were you aware of kind of the language that you used even in your own mind, or even how you framed?
Just then?
Well, no, but just, okay, when you're going through your pain recovery,
mm-hmm.
Because I noticed in one of your responses you said that you catastrophize.
Yeah,
things, right?
Hugely.
So how did you learn to kind of almost reconstruct the way that you actually describe things or saw the situation? Can you?
What do you mean?
So
as in go from catastrophizing to
kind of just calming yourself down.
That was such a long process.
Yeah.
That took almost a year. Okay. That took months and months and months and months.
So can you explain? Just for I guess the audience. So you used to catastrophize, but then.
It makes me almost a bit emotional to think. I've come such a long way. So how I went from catastrophizing to actually managing my pain properly,
Even mentally, because that seems like a mental game to me.
It is. That's what it is.
So can you just start off just saying how you used to catastrophize? Just tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So. I guess, I used to catastrophize. I used to, if I had a flare-up, I would think, that's it, my pain is